What up? It's the Athletic Hockey Show, Wednesday edition. McAdoo, Corrado, Gentili here. Our hotel room count is at 1 this week. Frankie is at home. That is a welcome change. You're sitting in front of your very tastefully apportioned, TV approved. You got the frame jersey. You got the helmets. Was that an off-season project?
No, that was a few seasons ago. I did it myself though, and the shelves where the helmets are, like, they're a little off. If you really pay attention to it, you can see that they're not equally aligned, which is unfortunate, but that's the extent of my handiwork. Boys,
as a really handy guy, I noticed it myself.
Yeah.
I gave you the half-point deduction for crooked shelves.
Today's a cool day. I want to welcome you guys to what is known as Memo Day in the NHL. Today's the day, I would imagine, because I've seen this before. All the guys will be coming to the rink for practice or morning skate, and coach will have their meeting at 9:30, and it's going to start with something like this. Boys, just a little housekeeping today, something we got from the league. I don't know if you guys saw that goal last night where Annunen knocks the net off. Here's what the NHL is telling us, so we got to keep this in mind. Now let's get to our meeting. It's Memo Day, little bit of housekeeping before everything gets going.
Wow.
Isn't that like the big takeaway from that goal in Pred's Wild last night? I feel like there were a few, but for sure that was one of them. Is like, if this is how they're gonna call it, whatever. If there's a chance that that's how they approach goals where the net gets knocked off the moorings moving forward, I think everyone probably needs to make some adjustments. The memo is necessary. Just a little reminder.
So what do you guys feel about that situation? Because I stand by what they called. I think it's the right call, and I would do that call 10 out of 10. And I'm here to listen to your argument about it, but man, I firmly believe that they made the right call on that play.
Let me give you my argument, because I've seen, I saw it happen in real time. I saw a lot of people were upset, a lot of people questioning it. Here's my take, okay? It's a suggestion for you goalies out there. If you don't like this, maybe stop cheating. How's that work? Okay? Don't cheat and then complain when you get caught cheating, because people are like, oh, the net got knocked off. Oh, it just got knocked off. Did that just happen? Did a bird fly through and bump into it? Did like a gust of wind come up? No, the goalie, in a situation where the other team has a scoring chance, was like, I could slide over there and make the save. Nah, you know what? I just don't feel like playing anymore. I'm just going to knock the net off. You can't do that. Of course that goal should count. Now, there is the thing about, like, was the first shot going in or was it on the second? And that is, maybe that's a different conversation.
I think that's kind of compelling for the record.
Maybe it is, but don't cheat and then turn around and go like, oh, you can't, my cheating worked against us. Yeah. Don't you listen, goalies. Listen to me. Goaltenders of the world, you weirdos in your sumo gear, talking to your posts. You're all 9 feet tall. You're all twitchy goofs, and none of your teammates really know how to talk to you. Stop ruining hockey by, first of all, making too many saves. You're too good. That's problem number one.
That's a problem.
Yeah.
But second of all, stop cheating. Don't knock the net off every time and then go, oh, how could you still count the goal? Every time the puck comes near your mask, don't shake it off and then be like, oh, how come the play didn't stop? Stop cheating, and everything will be okay.
That one I'm okay with. That's good old-fashioned gamesmanship, baby. Like, and also from a safety point of view, if your mask is like just a little loose and someone wires one, I'm okay with that one.
But it's when people are like, that should be an automatic whistle, right? It happened like last week, right? Somebody has to play without a mask, which is dangerous. But people are like, how are they not blowing the whistle automatically? And the answer to that is every goalie's mask would fall off 20 times a game if it was an automatic whistle. Mysteriously. The straps would get loose. It would just be a weird coincidence. And it would only happen when they were about to get scored on. And yeah, it blows my mind that there seem to be people out there who sincerely believe that if a defenseman swats at a puck and it accidentally goes over the glass, that absolutely has to be a delay of game penalty. No room.
You were going to bring this back.
No room for any judgment, intent, nothing matters. But if a goalie is like, you know what, I don't feel like being a goalie right now, bonk, knocks the net off. People are like, well, what can you do? I mean, you just got to blow the whistle. 8 out of 10
rules discussions with McIndoe end up coming back to puck over glass. Like it's gonna happen.
I haven't figured out how to tie this back into the loser point, but I'm working on it.
We'll get there. No, we'll get there somehow, and then somehow it'll be about the Leafs for sure. But
how about this? If you know how you don't get a loser point if you pull your goalie and get scored on? I think if your goalie cheats and you get scored on in overtime, you should lose the loser point. How about that?
Stamkos almost convinced me post game. I was full on like, why is this even a discussion? Why are we treating this as any sort of serious thing? Stamkos post game, and this is from Russo's write up of the whole thing. Russo, this will shock you, is pro wild on the.
No,
he was there right from he had it called right at the beginning.
Yeah, I'm joking. Obviously, he had it
on Twitter. He knew.
Sniffed out. Yeah, but Stamkos said, basically like, okay, this is the direct Stamkos quotes. How about this? He goes, I get it. The net came off, but if the puck goes in right away, no problem if the net's off. But he missed the net, and the puck actually bounced to him because the net was sideways. And then he hit it off the back of the net and it popped back. So my interpretation of the rule is that if the net wasn't off, that puck wouldn't have come back to him to have an open net. It would have went behind the net, and then the play would have been blown dead because the net was off. So he's like, I get it. But the only reason there was a scoring chance in the first place was because the net was originally off. And he almost got me there. I was quite nearly on Team Stamkos and Team Preds on this one, but I just can't get over the reality of this situation, which, like Sean said, the net didn't magically accidentally came off. It was off due to something very clearly, a very clearly deliberate move by Annunen. So if you cheat, whatever happens after that in any kind of normal run of play,
Street
like you're
rules,
responsible.
If it's a close call, how about benefit of the doubt goes to the team that didn't blatantly cheat 2 seconds before?
Yeah,
it's reasonable.
No, I have no issues with that. Like the Annunen's left elbow, you can see how egregious it is. Like he's actively trying to knock the net off, and
he'd already done it once in that game too. By the way,
right?
That's like he was playing pretty loose with it already,
and may have gotten a warning. I don't know if sometimes the officials will be like, "Don't do that again."
Oh, I'm sure it doesn't take much. Like it's one time. Your official's not going to stand in there and get made to look a fool. So he's going to give you a warning when he sees that happen. But imminent play. Okay, imminent play. The first shot, I understand. This is where you could argue it, is that the first shot doesn't go in. But Annunen, even if he hadn't knocked the net off, is not making the save on the rebound because he's like down and out. He's sprawled down. Like Johansson's still putting that puck in. Now, the net was angled a different way, but it was angled a different way because Annunen does what he does. So I have no issue with it. I think it's the right call. And every team is having memo day and getting a reminder, and then they'll get into their video session today. I think.
What are some of the memo days that Frankie Corrado received?
Dude,
was a part of?
It's things that are like, a lot of it was hits. Hitting to the head. What does it look like? Anytime something big and noteworthy happens like that, it's like, here's a reminder from NHL about this is head contact, or this is incidental head contact because you went through the body and you got someone's head. Like that was one that was always kind of front and center. Like the offside ones used to, but that's even before me. Like those are ones that get kind of refreshed every once in a while because the rules have changed as far as where your skate has to be in relation to the blue line, and but yeah, those are the main ones that I can remember. Kind of hearing about the next day.
Potential trouble in paradise between Russo and LeBrun. By the way, did we see this? They disagree on it. Russo saying he pushed it. This is exchange between Russo and Pierre. He pushed the net off the moorings clearly intentionally when he thought Kaprizov was going to score. The rule doesn't state when imminent scoring opportunity ends. The ref rules good goal on 92nd shot. into where the net would have been had he not illegally knocked it off. And Pierre, to that, simply said, "I will set you straight in Milan."
Oh, wow.
Interesting. I would like to know exactly what he means by that.
Is that feels like barn fight adjacent?
We got some big boy hockey between Russo and LeBrun coming in Milano Cortina.
The Hearst, Ontario, and Pierre coming out.
That escalated. Has Russo previously said that a game was scoreless or anything like that to set Pierre off? Or?
Do that around Pierre.
That came up in my natural life. The scoreless debate. I immediately went into a Pierre impression, of course, and nobody cared. I think the other big story come out of last night, and I feel like we've gone to this well a couple times already, and we're all still sort of surprised by it. But the Anaheim Ducks didn't smoke the Panthers 7-3. 3 goals for Cutter Gauthier. He's tied for the league lead with 10 goals. They have the cool Gordon Bombay jacket that they give the player of the game. I don't know if you guys saw this. It is an exact replica of the jacket that Emilio Estevez wore in the Mighty Ducks, which I don't know how it took this long for that to be part of their post-game stuff. What are we seeing from the Ducks? Like I do want to get us on record here. Like are we on board with what they're doing? Do we think it's a truly sustainable thing? Because I know the Panthers are limited in one way or another right now, but that counts for something last night.
The Ducks are a good team.
Yeah.
They're a good team. Like they have the most goals for right now in the NHL. Do they not? Like no one's scoring more goals than the Ducks, and their expected is not first, but it's good. It's in the, top third of the NHL. So it's justified how good they've been, right across the board offensively. They're a very shot heavy team. Like obviously some teams want to prioritize possession and not wasting pucks and, making sure that it's all, high quality chances. But the Ducks have found a way to blend the both right now where, shot attempts and shots, they're a top 5 team in the NHL. And then as far as if they're getting chances from the slot area, they're getting those as well. Like they're really good. They're a fast, exciting, skilled young team. And the fact that, I think Pat Verbeek took a lot of heat with the trades that he made, especially with the guys that he brought in from New York, right? Like aging guys who maybe have slowed down. It was the right mix for what his group needed. Jacob Trouba, Chris Kreider, who now has 7 goals, implementing those players with, Alex Killorn, who was already there, he's pushed all the right buttons and now they're seeing the results, but they're not a team that's just on a hot streak. They're not a team that's just shooting the lights out. They're generating what they're scoring, and that is something that can be sustainable for them. And here's the crazy part. Like, it should only get better. All those young guys are, Cutter Gauthier, who's off to an unbelievable start and has a hat trick last night. Leo Carlsson, who's really coming on. Beckett Seneca, who's playing light years better than he played in the preseason. They're all just going to get better and older and more experienced. So there is a nice thing cooking right now with the Ducks, and it doesn't feel like it's an accident.
And the other piece of this is the playoff path in the Pacific.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't say wide open, but it's there. It's there for the taking. I mean, obviously we all expected Vegas and Edmonton, as much as the Oilers have struggled a bit, are going to be there at the end, at the top. But that third spot, and then, potentially wild cards, depending on how things go in the Central. Seattle looks good right now, but we'll see how that goes. LA's hanging in there, but it's there for Anaheim. And, I feel like I'm mad at myself because heading into the season, I had, in my prediction piece, I had said the Ducks are making the playoffs. I'm calling it. And then at the last second, I kind of lost my nerve and I sort of dialed it down a little bit. And I turned it into, it would not shock me if the Ducks made the playoffs. And now I'm wishing I could go back, and maybe I could. I mean, we can just, it's cool to go back and edit your predictions, right? Like, that's fine.
I do it all the time.
Okay. So, but it's looking good. And I mean, Joel Quenneville right now, got to be the Jack Adams favorite.
Oh my
right?
God.
I mean, which will be a whole different discussion for
can't
other
wait for
reasons.
that.
But
that'll be interesting. But like right now, top 3 teams in the NHL: Colorado, been there, they're a wagon. Montreal second, Anaheim third. It feels like there's a little bit of a changing of the guard for the time being, right? Because some teams are lagging behind. Edmonton loses again last night. They can't hold on to a lead, and it's at the hands of the Dallas Stars, who are very injured, and they're kind of limping around. So yeah, there's plenty of opportunities for teams like Anaheim and Montreal and Utah, and if New Jersey can stay healthy, even though they've been there, and like we know how skilled and how good New Jersey is, but like this Anaheim team, I just kind of come back to, can it be sustainable? Absolutely, it can be. When your young guys are playing as well as they are, and they're only going to get better. This is something that could be. They've arrived, and what does that mean for L.A., Vancouver, Seattle, to a certain extent Edmonton, right? Like it's just there's a new team on the scene here that it feels like they're not going anywhere anytime soon.
No, I mean, what is the narrative around the Ducks at the start of the season? It's if their young guys can level up, and if some of the older guys actually give the kind of the production and the element that Verbeek went out and got them to supply, right? And that's going on. Leo Carlsson has 18 points in 12 games, and 14 games rather, and he's driving play too. He leads them in expected goals percentage. Gauthier's 10 goals. He's second in the league in 5-on-5 shots. Only Nathan MacKinnon, league-wide, has taken more shots than Cutter Gauthier. So just by that kind of stuff alone, you have Leo Carlsson playing like a 1C and Gauthier being like the next guy from that group of forwards, it seems like, to find another level. This is how people drew it up for Anaheim. This is what we said it would look like if they made that leap. It would be because they were getting the exact kind of play that they've gotten from Leo Carlsson and Cutter Gauthier and Chris Kreider and Jacob Trouba. And Dostal's a high-end goaltender.
Well,
right?
Dude, this is the other thing that I'm happy you bring his name up, right? Because we have a track record now of Dostal being very good. Right, having goals saved above expected, keeping his team in games, winning games. He's a very talented goalie. Goaltending is a hard thing to repeat year after year at the high end. There's a handful of guys that do it every single year. But here he is right now, and he's near the top in goals saved above expected again. And you're like, well, you were banking on that if you're Anaheim, and you're getting it if you're Anaheim. And it begs the question now, like, is this guy among the best goalies in the NHL? And is he going to be that way? Even right now, Anaheim's, what they're kind of giving up defensively, they've given up more goals than they should based on what their defensive metrics look like. And so, Dostal's played well. The team is also not like a huge pushover defensively. So they're in a good spot. Their goaltender's obviously
from where
very
they were.
good as
We
well.
became so accustomed to this over the last few years, seeing them be one of the very, very. 2 years ago, they might have been pound for pound by a lot of measurements. They might have been the worst defensive team in the history of the league, right? So the fact that we're even talking about them, there's too many chances. The quality is high, but it's a step up from where they were a couple years ago. And Dostal, he needs to be treated as a guy who can erase some of that. I think it's fair at this point to view him, in that kind of capacity. So I like what we've seen from them. That's just something. It's going to be something to track all season long too, because there is that flux at the bottom of the Western Conference, right? Like whether we're talking about Seattle or whoever else, there's work to be done and there's hay to be made. And while the sun's shining there.
It's a fascinating team to watch if you're one of the many other teams in the league that have been doing the rebuild thing, right? Because we always say it's figuring out and committing and realizing we've got to tear this down and start over is a big decision. But once you've made that decision, the teardown is the easy part. Trading away all the veterans, getting draft picks, hopefully hitting on them, having that prospect pipeline that ranks near the top of Corey's list and all that. That is not easy, but it's the easiest part. And how many times do we see a team do that? And then when it's time to start to win a little bit, The metaphor I always use is they take the gear out of neutral and they put it in drive and they hit the gas and the wheels just spin and nothing happens. We've seen that. Buffalo's been doing it for years. To some extent, some people might put Chicago in that group, but like, how do you make that next step, and how do you add the guys? Because at some point you got to win something. And Anaheim is right now looking like the model team for how they did that. And credit to Pat Verbeek, because he's the guy who made the moves.
And they're gonna have a very, very favorable cap situation for a long time, which is going to keep them in the mix on whatever they want to be in the mix on. If they ever want to go big game hunting and spend money. And just to put it into perspective, like how good they've been goal scoring wise this year, like Frank Vetrano's playing on the fourth line and he's got 1 goal. Like if that was the case for Anaheim a couple years ago, they're in big trouble, because you rely on that guy to score goals. Meanwhile, everyone's picking up the slack and you're just like, he'll score when he scores. And we just need him to do other stuff right now because everyone's pitching in. It's the sign of a team that's turned a corner, and Anaheim has certainly done that.
All right, we're going to hit a break. We're going to come back with some Team Canada Olympic talk. Yes, goaltenders are on the menu. That's going to be our discussion coming up soon. All right, we're back. Boys, we missed the 100-day deadline, or the 100-day countdown for the Olympics last week. That's something I didn't know was a thing until everybody ran their 100-day out projections.
Oh, is that right?
Did you know this? Yeah.
No. I saw the broadcast crews got announced. That was the big one. We're 100 days out. We're announcing everyone that's going. That was cool.
I think there's still got to be time for you to sneak on the roster. He'll be fine.
I'll take a break. I'll take a break when I can get one.
We got to talk about the Canadian goaltending situation. And I hate doing this. I would rather not.
Bums me out.
But the 3 guys who are on the Four Nations team, which are Jordan Binnington, who are the other ones? Jordan Binnington, Montembeault,
Adin Montembeault. Yeah.
Not off to the best of starts. I ask you, Frank Corrado, what's the over-under on those 3? How many actually get left off?
I think the line is probably the line's probably got to be 1.5 at this point, doesn't it? And I'm almost. I think I would take the under. I would take the under on 1.5, and the guy that you're taking is Binnington. And Binnington's he's an interesting guy. Like I know him very well. We go way back. We played minor hockey together, for those that don't know. So we're talking like 12 years old Vaughan Kings. Listen, we've all seen his success in the NHL. We saw his success at the Four Nations. In a short period of time, like when the St. Louis Blues won the Stanley Cup and the Four Nations tournament, something like that, he can be so laser focused and sharp, and he's so emotionally charged that he can be dynamite in those situations, like unbeatable to a certain degree. We've seen it. There's evidence. Over the course of 82 games in a season, it's just hard to have the flame burn that high for a long period of time. It's part of what makes Binnington such a great goalie, is that in those big moments, he can get himself to a place mentally that not a lot of guys can go to, but it's hard to sustain. So I don't worry about Binnington, because I know that when the time comes, he has shown us time and time again that he's going to be okay. I don't worry about his play right now. The 2 guys like Adin Hill and Samuel Montembeault, of course, Adin Hill's been hurt. Montembeault's an interesting one, because last night in Montreal, he made, 2 consecutive starts in a row, and Doug Armstrong and Don Sweeney are in attendance last night, and he's trying to find his game. Like he's trying to find his game. He has not played well. Marty St. Louis wants to have him be the number 1 guy. Like he doesn't believe in a tandem. He believes in one guy carrying the mail and the other guy being the quote unquote backup goaltender. Now Jakub Dobiš has played unbelievable, undefeated this year, but Monty should be the guy. And so last night, first period of that game, there's a high tip in the slot off the stick of Bobby Brink that goes in, 1-0. Then Matheson, puck over boards penalty. Dobson, cross-checking penalty. Now you're down 5-on-3. And you give up 2 goals on the ensuing power plays, 1 5-on-3, 1 5-on-4. So the goalie that's trying to find his game got put in a terrible situation in the first period and is down a 3 spot. What happened after that, though, was that he showed signs of the goalie he can be and has showed signs of life, and he had a really good rest of the game, a big reason why they were able to come back and get a point. This is not a Montreal Canadiens conversation. This is a maybe Samuel Montembeault is going to find his game before it's too late conversation, because as of right now, if you had to pick the team today, it's probably Binnington, Logan Thompson, and Darcy Kuemper. But Montembeault showing signs of life last night maybe signifies that he can get back to the goalie he was last year.
Do we need to worry about Dobeš taking more, like, again, I don't want to turn this into a Canadiens discussion necessarily, but like, if that's how Marty St. Louis is situated, if his desire is to have a dude who you can just count on night in, night out, and if Dobeš is giving them consistently better play, like, that to me just sounds like we could be talking about Sam Montembeault as like a 1B in a couple months, which is a tough spot. That's maybe a tough spot when you're trying to make an Olympic team. If you're playing badly for the most part when you do start, and then losing time down the stretch, because like, look, these guys, Binnington's at 8.68. He's at nearly 7 goals saved below expected. Montembeault 8.55. Almost 7 goals. Like, Adin Hill's hurt and ineffective, right? So I don't know, man. There's a lot of stuff in flux there, and I look at Montembeault too. When we were doing player tiers and trying to suss out, where to stratify goaltenders and all that stuff, we had Montembeault initially ranked pretty high, and we heard back from like a weird amount of league people who were like, maybe slow your roll on this a little bit. I don't know if there's something in the public numbers for the last couple of years have favored Montembeault. Like, he's graded out well there, but I wonder if a lot of teams that, like, with their own proprietary stuff have seen something in him over the last couple of years that they're not crazy about.
Look, let's remember Sam Montembeault making the team last year. Even at the time, a lot of fans were like, "What? Like, Why is Sam Montembeault on this team?" And that's not to say he's not a good goalie. It's not to say he wasn't one of the 3 best picks last year, but it wasn't like he was some sort of slam dunk. And I'm with Frankie. Jordan Binnington is on this team if he's healthy. Period. Does he have to be the starter game 1? That's up to a coach. But the guy won gold for you last time. Outdueled Connor Hellebuck in overtime of the gold medal game. He's on the team, assuming he's healthy. The other 2 spots are open because it's Sam Montembeault was a mild surprise last year. Obviously wasn't called on to do much of anything in the actual tournament. There's no reason that he needs to start with a spot and someone has to take it from him. That spot's up for grabs. The guy who should have been on last year's team, Logan Thompson, is sort of the one guy who's playing pretty well. So I think I penciled him in. Binnington, Thompson, and then the 3rd spot, let's see. Maybe if Adin Hill gets healthy and gets going again, great. Darcy Kuemper was another guy. It's funny last year, right? Like, Canada had 2 of the top 4 Vezina guys at the end of the year. Neither of them played on the Olympic team in Thompson and Kuemper, but so in theory, you go, maybe it's not that bad, but Kuemper hasn't been great so far. If he picks it back up, that spot's available. And if not, then, maybe you do the thing where you say, you know what, it's going to be Binnington and Thompson, and we're going to figure it out. And then we'll take a younger guy, and which is, kind of what it felt like they did with Montembeault last year, but it doesn't have to be him. And it shouldn't be at this point.
Yeah, don't force bring the future focused younger dude as the number 3. Like, if it's not there, it's not there.
If you've got and Team USA isn't going to do this, but if you have Connor Hellebuck and Jake Ottinger, and then you want to say, you know what, we're going to bring a young guy instead of Jeremy Swayman, go ahead, because that guy's never getting near the ice in any meaningful situation. But if it's Canada, you don't have that luxury. So,
yeah,
find your 3 best guys, the 3 guys that are playing the best at the time for the most part, plus the international experience, which is where, a guy like Binnington, like I could actually see Binnington being a guy that where the Blues season is headed, they might be out of this very soon. Which means, for him, now, does that maybe wear him down to the point where he's a mess by the Olympics? Maybe. Or maybe he's sitting there going, you know what? This is my whole season. My season's a write-off. I got 2 weeks of actual meaningful hockey. I'm going to be, like a rabid dog by the time I get there. Let me off the leash and let me out there and play a little bit. So,
he'll be like that anyways.
I
regardless
gotta ask,
of how the season is going.
What was he like at 12? Was it
Just
the exact same person? Because
No.
he's kind of got the 12-year-old personality now. Like, what was he like back then?
Binner, he was such a sweetheart of a kid. He's still such a he's a great guy. This is just a classic case of putting on a persona to get yourself to a level as an athlete, as a competitor. Like he's an unbelievable guy. He's awesome. He's great to be around. You would love to go grab a beer with this guy and hang out with him, and anyone would.
He wasn't throwing water bottles, or I guess juice boxes.
No,
maybe back then,
he wasn't snapping on us. He wasn't. He was always the best goalie in the age group too, which we were very spoiled to have him behind us. But he'll be like that anyways, man. Like that's him. Just quickly on Montembeault, his high end is very good, and for me, that's a big reason why he makes that team last year, is because his best games are outstanding. Where he lags behind with a guy like Logan Thompson is the consistency, right? Like Monty got shelled at times last year. I saw him put up, 8 spots and get pulled early in the season, but his great games were really, really good. He hasn't had that this year, so he doesn't have that in his back pocket. And last year, we were at TSN, we were constantly talking about this goalie situation. And I finally went to one of our producers and I was like, dude, why are we making such a big deal about the 3rd goalie for Team Canada? Who cares? Like if we're at the point where we're using a 3rd goalie, haven't we lost the plot? Isn't it over? What are we doing? And the point that he made to me, which he wasn't really wrong, he goes, think about it. USA, very, very solid in goal. Sweden, very solid in goal. Even to an extent, Finland, pretty solid in net. Canada has a bunch of guys, and this is before the 4 Nations, before Binnington did what he did, where you're like, I could make a compelling case for 5 or 6 guys to be the starter. There's no true guy that's so far and above and beyond. And so when you get into the tournament, if one guy plays bad in the first game, are you going to goalie number 2? Do you have a conversation between, other members of the coaching staff? Who's the 2? Who's the 3? And this year it doesn't feel like that's the case because Binnington's going to start. You don't think John Cooper is going to start Binnington game 1 of the Olympics and say, you're my guy. You're the rabid dog. Go out and do it just like you did last year. So maybe maybe it feels different this year than last year when it comes to how 1, 2, 3 goaltenders and how important they all are.
I think part of it is Thompson. For a second straight year, it's funny you mentioned consistency with Montembeault, and that's certainly true. It's funny to have Thompson as the contra example of that because consistency is, especially with Vegas, that was an issue for him in the past too. Last year, what we saw was he started out strong, sustained it really until he started dealing with some injury stuff, after the All-Star break. His play declined down the stretch in the regular season for Washington, but he was dealing with a concussion thing, and he had maybe some other minor injury stuff that was going on too, and he shook it off well enough to be pretty good for them in the playoffs. And he's followed that up again, with another really, really strong start. He's at .935 save percentage, almost 7 goals saved above expected. So he's far and away, based on merit over the last 2 years, I think he's been the best of the bunch on the ice in the NHL season. It would just be a real pivot, honestly, in terms of the way that he's thought about by that national team, by whoever else, to go from being not much of a consideration, I don't think, last year, to what are we talking about? He's like he's a bad Binnington period away in Milan from being the guy. It's really, really interesting, but it's also a testament to how good he's been. Like he's following up last season, and I think that was kind of the big question. We'll see how long it lasts, because he's got some inconsistency in the rear view. But man, he's playing really, really well, and that was certainly true last season too.
Yeah, he makes this year, with Hill being injured and Montembeault struggling, he makes it more compelling. But at the same time, it softens the blow for Team Canada, where you're like, listen, we had, if at the end of the day, for 2 spots, they had 5 goalies in the mix, and those were the 2 guys they went with last year, because for some reason there was a tiebreaker that went to those guys. Maybe the tiebreakers going the other way, and that lands Logan Thompson on a flight with Pierre LeBrun to Milan, so he can teach him a lesson.
Arm wrestling Russo or whatever, whatever's on the board there.
That's my advice to these goalies, man. I know it's big games, it's a lot of pressure. Just cheat. Just not that when Matthews and Eichel are coming in 2-on-1, just bonk. Oops.
Chicken wing elbow to the
sure.
net.
Pierre will have your back on that.
Frankie, where are you this week? I'm
home, boys. I got
6 shifts though. I feel like during games.
We got a Habs panel tomorrow. Devils Habs, that'll be a good one. And then a couple Jets games Friday night and on the weekend. Just doing some intermission work there. So Jets are coming off a 3-0 loss last night in LA, so they'll be looking to bounce back in San Jose, and we'll be all over it, boys. Just like you guys. Nice chatting today.
Good.
Hope you guys
enjoyed
Memo
Good to
Day.
See you as always. Yeah.
Hopefully there's no memos coming your way.
Memo Monday, baby.
I don't read
talk
memos.
to you, brother.
It's fine.
See ya.
All right, we're back. It is Hockey Hall weekend, my boy. I know you're aware of this. Jennifer Bottrells, Zdeno Chara, Brianna Decker, Duncan Keith, Alexander Mogilny, Jack Parker, Daniel Sauvageau, Joe Thornton are your inductees in alphabetical order. What have I learned this week, Sean McIndoe?
What have we learned, Sean?
I have learned that you hate Jamie Benn.
Now, don't see. This is the problem when you talk about Hall of Fame and you say that somebody is either not a Hall of Famer, or maybe you say somebody is borderline. It could be an interesting case. Is that people think that you hate the guy, and just because I said Jamie Benn's not a Hall of Famer doesn't mean I hate him. Now, I said Corey Perry's not a Hall of Famer. Do I hate him? Yes, I do. But I don't hate Jamie Benn. I just don't think Jamie Benn's going to the Hall of Fame, even though he's got an Art Ross, even though he's a 3-time All-Star, the real All-Stars that matter, the postseason ones. But I've got a piece out today where I take another look at 6 guys who I have previously talked about being borderline cases and sort of give an update on where they're at. And what I've learned is that people feel very strongly about the Hall of Fame. It's even more so than most sports debates. I find Hall of Fame, it's not that people disagree with you. It's that people think whatever they think is so stunningly obvious. How could you possibly? I've got somebody in the comments. Corey Perry is a Hall of Famer. He had so many years of being one of the best guys, and it's like, no, he had 1 year. Now, that was a great year. He won the Hart Trophy. Hits 50 goals, Rocket Richard, everything. He had an absolutely phenomenal year. Is 1 year enough for a guy who's still playing, might play forever, isn't going to get even to 1,000 points? That's the debate. That's the fun of it. And by fun, I mean everyone gets really angry and yells at each other and walks away furious and unhappy. That's fun for me.
He won a Hart Trophy. He got votes one other time. Finished in 13th place.
Yeah.
Top 76 points twice.
And look, I mean, is that better than being a Patrick Marleau who hangs around forever, is never really in that conversation, never has that year, but has more years of being very good?
Yeah.
I mean, that's the debate. That's, that's where people are. I've got people, telling me right now that John Tavares is not going to make the Hall of Fame. He's just got his 500th goal. He's up to 1,100 points.
He's in.
He's in. And the other thing, and again, this is I'm making the mistake of going through the comments of my own piece, and you've got people saying, and I'm sure it's
like, how long are you going to do this? Like how long? Like you've been writing on the internet for 30 years now.
Yeah, I don't feel like it's been that long, but okay.
I mean, we both. Jesus Christ, we're old.
Yeah,
we've established that.
Don't go digging up the old Usenet posts from the mid '90s. I don't feel like some of those takes would hold up especially well. But here's the thing on Tavares that a lot of people say is some variation of, you know what, if he, to use the point that this guy in the comments is making, if instead of signing with the Leafs, he had signed in Columbus and was putting up the same numbers, nobody would be talking about him as a Hall of Famer. And it's just this idea.
Whatever. Like if my grandmother had wheels, she'd be a bike. Like it's what happened. That's how his career played out. Like that's
and here's the other thing. This idea that, okay, do players in Toronto get more attention than Columbus? Yes, absolutely, no question. Nobody would ever argue that. But specifically for the Hall of Fame, do players who had prominent stops in Toronto get, are they more likely to get in? I don't think they are. I think if anything, it goes the other way. The one that stands out is Matt Sundin getting in on the first attempt.
I guess so.
Some people could point to and go, all right. I mean, Matt Sundin had a Hall of Fame career, but the fact that he got in quickly, I think he got in over Brendan Shanahan that year and, some other guys. Okay, you want to point that one out. But Pat Burns took forever. It was a disgrace how long it took Pat Burns. Alexander Mogilny just got in this year. That was ridiculous. And, he had his stop in Toronto. Doug Gilmour took I want to say 7 years to get in, even though he had 1,400 career points. Dave Anderchuk took a long time to get in. You go on down to Eric Lindros, another one, took him a while. Curtis Joseph, still
Leafs
not
legend,
in.
Leafs legend Eric Lindros.
Yeah. I mean, Curtis Joseph Curtis Joseph should be in if there's some sort of Toronto Maple Leafs boost. The only
Curtis
other
Joseph
guy
should be in.
He should. The only other guy that played for the Leafs in any kind of prominent role who you could argue got in a little early or maybe was borderline, to me is Joe Nieuwendyk. And he played 1 year for the Leafs. So I just don't think there is a pro Leafs boost for the Hall of Fame. And if anything, maybe it goes the other way because, who knows? I mean, who knows with this committee, right? There's 18 people go into a dungeon somewhere. And
it's small sample size. And that's such an unsatisfying thing for people.
And we have no idea what the vote looks like, right? Like we mentioned Curtis Joseph. I think Curtis Joseph's a Hall of Famer. To me, this was a guy who, for years and years in the NHL, you looked at starting in St. Louis, certainly in Edmonton, where you were like, this guy's one of the best goalies in the league. He's got the numbers. He's got the wins. He's never got the 14 votes from the committee. That's all we know. Is he stuck at 13? Did he go from 5 to 7 to 9 and he's getting closer and closer? Is he even being discussed? Right? Well, we don't know. Maybe they're not nominating him and he's just never even comes up. We have no way of knowing. It kind of stinks. You know what doesn't stink, though? You know what is fantastic? We talked about how long it took Alexander Mogilny to get in.
Yeah. I lied, yeah.
And whenever, year after year, when he didn't get in and you went, how is this happening? One of the things you always heard was they're worried he's not going to show up.
Yep.
We found out he finally got in. He's not showing up. Hell yeah. Good job, Alexander Mogilny. He's apparently going to send in a video or something. I hope it's
Deuces, like, hey, thank you.
Yeah, whatever. Just like, I hope he does like the TikTok thing where like he's eating a salad and, it just, he's just sitting there like, what's up? Does his gets that in there and it's 15 seconds long. I hope that happens.
It's a pretty good class we're talking about overall too. I mean, it's a deep one. It's a diverse one. There's some builders. They're finally starting to get the the women's logjam taken care of, because that was on the verge of being a major problem moving forward. So you got Decker and Sobajo going in there as a builder. That's important. They needed to get that resolved, and I think this was one step in the right direction there. So yeah,
it's
always
nice to have a class where I don't think, certainly on the player side, builders are always a little weird, but there's nobody this year that anyone's doing the whole, like, should they be in, should they not? Like there may be some people who had some other player where they're like, oh no, my guy should have got in instead of Mogilny, or maybe Keith or that. But these are all Hall of Famers, and there's no dispute around it. And, that's cool.
We can watch the speeches. We can enjoy Alexander Mogilny's 5-second video filmed vertically and sent from his phone.
That's right. Yep.
Have a nice little weekend. Bud, what's up with you this week? Yeah, I know you got the Hall of Fame post.
Hall of Fame
that went up today on Wednesday. There's some other stuff
later on this week
that I may or may not have been involved with.
The return of Rules Court.
It's back,
and it's tough. You were being kind of a stickler.
I said no.
Like,
I said no to a lot of stuff.
You were dropping no's everywhere. You were like in angry parent mode. You were Frankie driving past the McDonald's drive-thru with the twins in the back. Just absolutely not. So
it wasn't absolutely not, though. We're not going to ruin it. I was close. I was close on some stuff. I thought all the suggestions were honestly really it was a good batch. It was pretty creative.
I'm amazed. This is the 10th one that we've done.
That's incredible.
I thought maybe at the beginning we'd get to like 3. That felt like there were 20 rules that need changing. No, you guys are still cooking. We're up to 70 plus of these, I think. So keep them coming.
There was one in particular that I could have sworn we did already. I think you know which one it was. I was like, there's no way we haven't tackled this one. But
there are some, and the other thing that I find so interesting, as the guy who goes through the batch, right? Like you guys only see the ones I pick out, but I get to see which ones come up again and again and again, and it's very strange to me which ones I'm just like, what happened that suddenly everybody feels really strongly that like a penalty shot should also give you a power play. Like what happened? What game did I miss?
That's the one I thought we talked about that one already. Honestly,
we've had some variations on it, but it's pretty good. And as far as I can tell, nobody had anything about goalies being allowed to cheat. So we'll see. Maybe that'll be next time.
We'll see. 5 games a night, nothing great. I think Mammoth Leafs is probably the most entertaining of the bunch. Blues, Caps. Keep an eye on the Caps. They're not playing particularly well right now. Blue Jackets, Calgary. That's a dud. Chicago, Vancouver is a dud. San Jose, Seattle, kind of a dud. I don't know. Go do something else tonight, I guess, is the... I know what I'll be doing. Thank you, folks. Thank you, Sean. Thank you, Frankie. Thanks, everybody, for listening. 3 of us are back next Wednesday. I am back tomorrow with Max and Dom. A little bit of a different look for us. Haley's doing rivalry series in Cleveland between the U.S. and Canadian women's national team. So be on the lookout for that. Enjoy the rest of your day. Don't watch these games tonight, like I said. Talk to you real soon.
Thanks for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe and ring the bell to stay informed and catch new episodes every Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. And in the meantime, you can join our Discord community. We'll see you there.